So as you guys know, one of the things that drives me crazy is that I feel like our media is so pathetic and so sad and so gross that they never know what to cover seriously, right? They never know what should actually be the leading story, what deserves the breaking news banner, etc. And I mean, I'm super black-pilled now because not only is mainstream media really bad, but also independent media is a fucking cesspool as well, right? It just is. There's very few actual independent media outlets that have a system set up like what we have on this show where we get money through small dollar donations and the default ads on YouTube, and that's it, right? That's actual independent media. Very few have it set up like that. What is it, 5% of internet shows? So independent media sucks. It's a bunch of audience-captured hacks. It's a bunch of, terminal contrarians or wave riders, narrative humpers. I'm sick of them. But I'm under no illusions about mainstream media as well. In fact, we saw this since Trump won. Many outlets are either fully capitulating to Trumpism or semi-capitulating to Trumpism, and they're going to do false equivalence all day long. Both sidesism all day long, right? And so it's just a horrible media environment. Now, here's something that in a world that made sense, everybody would be talking about this. Apparently the U.S. decided right after Christmas and right before New Year's and maybe even on New Year's, they decided, let's unleash hellfire on the capital in Yemen. Let's bomb countless targets in Yemen. Now, right off the bat, that's illegal. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's wrong under U.S. law and international law because we don't have a declaration of war against Yemen. It used to be understood Congress has to declare war. The U.S. president, the commander-in-chief, can't willy-nilly say, I feel like bombing Greenland today. Go bomb. Like, you can't do that, right? But that's effectively how the U.S. president acts. Totally unaccountable. So the U.S. decided, let's bomb the shit out of Yemen and have nobody even talk about it, nobody in the media discuss it, etc. So here's what they say in Al Jazeera, and then I'll give you the actual video of it. Yemen's Houthis defiant after new U.S. strikes. CENTCOM says it struck Houthi targets in Sana'a and coastal locations in Yemen days after Israel targeted the country. Oh, would you look at that? Israel's involved. The spokesperson of Yemen's Houthi rebels, Mohammed Abdul Salam, said that his country would continue to defend itself after several U.S. strikes targeted facilities in the capital, Sana'a. The U.S. aggression on Yemen is a blatant violation of the sovereignty of an independent state and blatant support for Israel to encourage it to continue its crimes of genocide against the people of Gaza, said Abdul Salam on Tuesday after strikes were conducted by the U.S. for a second day. The U.S. military said that it carried out attacks against targets in the Houthi-controlled capital Sana'a and coastal locations in Yemen on both Monday and Tuesday. On December 30th and 31st, U.S. Navy ships and aircraft targeted a Houthi command and control facility and advanced conventional weapon production and storage facilities that included missiles and uncrewed aerial vehicles, the U.S. Military Central Command said in a post on X. Before I continue, let me just say, you guys have lost literally all of your credibility, right? Now, the default perspective from everybody is going to be, I don't believe you. When you say, oh, yes, we were targeting a terrorist hideout or a command and control center or a weapons factory. When you say, of course, everybody's going to be like, well, that's not true. Why? Because this is what's happened every step of the way in Gaza, where the IDF will be, we targeted a Hamas command and control center. And then the videos come out on social media and it's 7 children with their head blown off. So why should anybody believe you? Clearly, this is just PR bullshit where you're trying to justify and rationalize what you did, right? Now, maybe you thought beforehand going into it, oh, yes, we only got the bad guys and our target was this and this, but why should we believe it? And why wouldn't the burden of proof be on you guys to prove that, right? So, I mean, this is just how it is now. Any sort of goodwill is gone, dead and gone. Not just for Israel, but the U.S., the West in general. I just assume every word out of your mouth on topics like this is a complete and utter fucking lie, because that's the logical thing to do. They continue here. The Houthi-run Al Masirah TV reported that a total of 12 air raids were launched by U.S. military jets targeting 2 separate districts in Sana'a. So that's a lot of bombing. That's a lot of bombing to be doing. The Iran allied group in Yemen has been launching attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea for more than a year in an ostensible effort to enforce a naval blockade on Israel, saying they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians being attacked as part of Israel's year-long deadly war in Gaza. Last week, a wave of Israeli air attacks hit Yemen's main airport, killing at least 3 people. Again, I want you guys to stop and notice. Whenever Israel's involved, it's always like, here's some obviously civilian type shit that was hit. When it's Israel, it's always like, yeah, this was some civilian shit. Tee-hee-hee, was it a school? Tee-hee-hee, was it a hospital? Tee-hee-hee, was it a UN worker? Was it a World Kitchen worker? Tee-hee-hee. It's always the case with Israel. And then, of course, they'll lie about it usually. They'll go, it was a leader of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. They bombed their own hospital. Yeah, like this is what they do. But nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. Separate attacks on the country's key port city of Hodeidah killed another 3 people. The attacks on Sanaa's airport came just as the World Health Organization's Director General said he was about to board a flight there. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? More complete Israeli disregard for international institutions like the World Health Organization. By the way, I don't know this number off the top of my head, how many UN workers or how many humanitarian agency workers have been murked by Israel within the past year? How many? That number's got to be phenomenally high. They bombed UN buildings that were literal like standalone buildings. They weren't even connected to another building that you could make a stretch of an argument that the Hamas was there. They bombed directly UN buildings on purpose. They were probably trying to kill this dude, right? They were probably trying to kill him, and that's why they bombed. There are literally no rules for them. They do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want to. They've become so vicious and so bloodthirsty and so barbaric, they'll attack a civilian airport in the middle of the day with nothing but civilians around to try to get a World Health Organization worker. Jesus Christ. The Houthis pledged to respond swiftly to the attack and meet escalation with escalation. The Houthis took control of Yemen's capital, Sana'a, in 2014. We know that. And then they go on to talk about their support of Gaza. So, look, let's just call it what it is. Why is the U.S. now directly bombing Yemen? And they did 12 different air raids. So that's a lot of bombing. Why are they doing it? To fight Israel's wars for them. That's why. The reason why Israel's pissed at Yemen and the U.S. is pissed at Yemen is exactly what you heard in this article, which is they're still effectively attempting to do a naval blockade on Israel to stop goods from getting into Israel. Because they say you're doing a genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. It's very clear for the world to see. If there is going to be no international law enforced by an international agency, well, then I guess we'll step in and we will try to enforce international law and stop these ships from getting to Israel, right? We're going to try to effectively do a blockade until you stop doing a genocide in Gaza. And by the way, when we had a temporary pause in the fighting, when there was a deal reached and there was a temporary pause, guess what? The Houthis stopped seizing the ships. They stopped it. When that went away, they started again. So the U.S. is bombing the capital city of Yemen and the port in Yemen and the airport, the main airport in Yemen. The U.S. is bombing them to protect Israel and allow them to keep doing their genocide unabated. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. And you wonder, hey, why isn't this being talked about in mainstream media? Gee, I wonder why it's not. Maybe because there's literally not even a stretch of an argument to try to say this is the moral and ethical and correct thing to do. Maybe that's why. Because it looks as bad as it is. So instead, everybody just www.net.com.org.nutsack. That's the truth, man. That's the truth. So I told you I have the video. I have one video for you here. Again, you didn't see coverage of this almost anywhere. Like you had to just be scrolling the TL and stumble across it. But this is what was going on in Yemen the other day. This is what the U.S. was doing. This is our tax money, My money, your money. I'm paying money to the government. I'm hoping it's going to go towards healthcare, for example, for people. What are we using it for? Right here. Here we go.
udah. Naik. Allah. هاي فين بيضربوا؟ أمانة اثنين هذا شفتها أمانة.
It's still going. You see it right there. So this is what Joe Biden is doing on his way out. This is what he's doing. You know, we've talked about it since the Supreme Court basically said, hey, if it's an official act, you can do whatever the hell you want. It doesn't even need to be official. You just need to think it's official. If you do it, you can get away with it. Do whatever the fuck you want. This is what they said vis-a-vis Trump laying the precedent, right? So what could Biden do? Instead of launching illegal wars against Yemen to protect Israel and their genocide, what he could be doing is wiping out all the student loan debt and getting rid of the records. And then when they go, you can't do that, that needs to go through Congress, you go, I don't know what you're talking about. The records are gone. There is no way to bring back the payments. It's gone. It's over. It's done. And I did it because it's my official act under the 1965 Higher Education Act. You might have a different interpretation of what's allowed under that. It doesn't matter. I'm the president. I made the decision. My interpretation is correct. I wiped out the records. It's gone. I don't know what you want me to tell you. That's what Biden could be doing. That's what he could be doing. Instead, he's bombing civilian strongholds in Yemen while pretending like it's all Houthis in the capitals. It's a capital city. Oh, yeah, all these areas did these 12 air raids we did. We only got bad guys. It is disgusting. This is disgusting. Pathetic. And media, where are you? Where are you? Old media, new media, and everything in between. Where are you? This is something we should be talking about. We should be talking about that new report that said homelessness just hit a record high, 770,000 Americans, and that's still an undercount, 18% increase. This should be breaking news. This should be front page. And so should us launching an illegal war again, more air raids, illegal air raids against Yemen. It's got to stop.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.